All right, so today we have a really special guest, Brad, and it's going to be a little bit different today. We're going to talk about Cal's Angels. Brad, do you want to introduce Cal's Angels really quick and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Brad Beetham. I am the current board chairman of Cal's Angels. A little bit about Cal's Angels. Cal's Angels was started in spring of 2007, coming as a result of Cal Sutter, who was diagnosed with AML, acute myeloid leukemia, in 2005. He achieved remission, and then 2006 or so had a relapse, and then lost his battle in fall of 06. And then Cal's Angels was started then in spring of 07. So Cal's has been around for, what does that put us at, 18 years, give or take. In those 18 years, we've raised just over $33 million. So a pretty sizable number that started from an organization in 07 that was kind of run out of a garage, and it did a 5K and maybe a golf outing.
And where does the money go?
Originally, the money went to, it was kind of like a mini Make-A-Wish Foundation, local, and it was basically only given to the kids out of Lurie Children's, because that's where Cal was treated.
Was it given directly to the kids, or was it given?
It was given in wishes. So okay. Let's say originally it was like $1,000 wish. So back in the day, $1,000 went a little bit farther than it does today. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the wish might be, we have got a great relationship with ABT Electronics. So it might have been, back in the day, an iPad or a gift card to there where they could go do a shopping spree. It could have been, hey, I want to do a long weekend in the Chicago, or I want to go, parts of it paid to like a Disney World. So back in the day, it was basically $1,000 wish granting organization. I became involved after my daughter was diagnosed. My daughter was diagnosed with B lymphoblastic lymphoma as a 10-year-old in 2014. And through that fight, we had about a 3-year fight, and she's a good outcome. She's now a senior at Mizzou in nursing, looking to try to get back into pediatric oncology and kind of go, she met some amazing nurses and doctors in her treatment, and she's like, that's what I want to do. I want to help. I want to make kids feel the way that they made me feel. So she's got, actually, as of last week, a couple job offers in Kansas City. Not quite in peds yet, but a start. But during our fight, and we were inpatient 45 days throughout that fight, 17 here, 20 there, whatever the case. Cal's Angels was there, and I can fondly remember conversations with Tom and Stacy, who founded Cal's. Stacy is Cal's stepmother, and then Tom is Cal's dad. Inpatient, they're making the rounds. Back in the day, they used to kind of be able to come in, and organizations were allowed to kind of come in a little bit more. That changed with COVID. But I can remember, 10 different times they had pizza parties on the floor. And just, they were a contact that had been through it. So they were an information piece. They were a lean on piece. So the energy was there, and I kind of knew at that point, no matter what was going to happen with Maddie, whether it was a good outcome or a bad outcome, I was going to stay in the fight and work with Cal's Angels, and whether it was a volunteer or whatever the case may be. And I was fortunate, probably towards the end of, we had started an organization called Maddie Strong, a Fight the Fight, a Maddie Strong organization, and we did a couple little fundraisers, had a music festival out in Yorkville that raised a good amount of money, and we took that money and just kind of dispersed it to kids that we knew were fighting. There was a kid at Canelan at the time, Drew Hahn, who ended up being a big old football player and had played some Division III football up in Wisconsin. Some money went there, and other kids around the area that we just kind of took that money and put it out there. So Cal's came to me and said, hey, we love what you're doing over there. Would you like to be on our board? So I've been on the board now for, 11 years with Cal's, and then became the board chairman about a year and change ago. So, like I said, we're doing really good things. Our mantra is war, wishes, awareness, and research. That's what we do. So we fund wishes. We raise awareness. So right now in September, Pediatric Cancer Month, we've got, upwards of over 50 high schools right now that we've basically given all the gold gear. So football players get gold socks. Soccer players getting gold socks, golf getting a towel and a hat. Every fall sport is getting something gold that we're funding, and it's an awareness piece. And everyone in t-shirts, if you look at some of these high school games, everyone has a gold game. So, Yorkville had their gold game 3 weeks ago, and we have an honorary captain. And unfortunately, pretty much in any city, town, school, whatever, there's kids fighting cancer. So we get a hold of them, and a lot of them are CALS kids, meaning they're kind of part of our program. We get a hold of them and they become an honorary captain and go out and do the coin toss. And then the announcer speaks about them and talks about what they're going through in their battle. And then they kind of get honored in that scenario. And then you look at the student section and there's 1,000 gold t-shirts that have been sold that week and we sell those for $10. We sell them for our cost. It's an awareness piece, much like breast cancer month,
So I did something similar, started a 501c3.
Okay.
It was called Friday Night Lights. I did it with a bunch of my buddies, Mike Brincheski, Terry Darcy.
Okay.
A couple other guys got involved. And what we did is we bought in October, we got 2 teams together. We bought them pink jerseys, and during the week kind of really brought awareness to them what they're actually wearing this pink stuff for in October. And then we'd raise enough money and we would pick 2 families in the area that were affected by cancer that really needed help, and we would just give them all the money. Yeah. And so it's unique. I did not know you were doing this. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like I said, we're upwards of 50 plus schools now. I mean, it's grown tremendously. It stresses out the staff at CALS. We're kind of a small staff over there, but this is our month, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I go back to coaching youth football, and I would buy my youth teams pink. You go into Dick's, and it was pink.
In October was pink.
And so all my kids wore pink socks and wristbands and the whole deal. And then my daughter gets cancer, and and then you find out, I don't think I even found out that there was a pediatric cancer month. And I didn't know that it was gold was the color until probably towards the end of my daughter's fight with cancer, which was, 2016, 2017. And it didn't have nearly the push that breast cancer did. And there's plenty of room for both. Everybody needs help. So the gold piece now with Pediatric Cancer Month, Awareness Month, has grown a lot, and we have a big piece of that, trying to get that out there.
Yeah.
So we still don't have big Dick's displays yet, but
not yet.
Someday.
So we're here today to talk about how we're going to raise money, and you're the head of it, and we specifically set this podcast up to raise money for this.
Correct.
Let's tell people a little about what we're doing, and how we're going to do it, and get through it.
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of try to give you a brief history of the ride. It's now, as you look up here, it's called the CUREage Ride, spelled with cure, because every dime that we raise is going to our restricted funds at CALS Angels Research. We have a $4 million funding going on at Lurie Children's right now for a research. A new research clinical trial facility, basically. And we've donated a lot of millions of dollars to other things. So we started this ride in 2019. It was called War on Wheels, and we rebranded it 2 years ago. Glenn Galloway, amazing human being, started this ride just kind of out of a scenario where he was out in California and saw somebody doing a charity ride out there, and he called Stacy and was basically like, hey, I want to do this ride for you guys. I'll pay for this, that, and the other. And what do you think? Will you guys help support it and obviously push it? And she was like, yeah. So 2019 was pretty amazing. It was a 40-day scenario between travel and riding. We left Santa Monica Pier.
How many miles?
2,700 miles. And that was an experience, and for sure. So that was 2019, 2,700 miles from Santa Monica Pier to St. Charles. WOW 2 is dead in the middle of COVID. We couldn't get hotel rooms and the mess, so we decided there was I didn't want to let it die, so I called Glenn. I'm like, hey, I'm going to ride from Stead Family Children's Hospital. CALS had just kind of established a relationship there. We had donated some money for a clinical trial, and
you raised how much in the first ride?
First ride, $250,000, which we thought was really low comparatively to some of these other rides. We talked about the AIDS ride out in California raising $15 million in 3 days, and we're out here for 38 days through we rode in.
How many riders?
We had 10 to 12 riders that started in Santa Monica, and then, not many people can take 40 days off of work. So 3 of us, Glenn, Kurt, and I did every single mile. And then we had riders that kind of did the first week and maybe the second week, or kind of came in the 2 weeks and rode the last 2 weeks in. So ultimately we had probably close to 20 riders that participated in it to some degree, but 3 of us rode every mile. We rode in snow up into Santa Fe, New Mexico. We rode in sideways tornadoes, basically in Oklahoma. Actually, coming into Oklahoma City,
I can barely ride here in the 12-mile-an-hour winds.
I hate wind. If you looked at that ride, the first ride we did, 38 days of actually on the bike, and we rode 6 days on, 1 day off. I bet you out of 38 days, 30 of the days, if I woke up on a Sunday morning to ride around here, I'd have been like, nope, not doing it. It's too windy. It's too wet. We didn't have a choice. We had a schedule. We had hotels booked. Like there was no. That was an epic scenario. WOW 2 was just a 24-hour ride. We rode 250 miles from University of Iowa all the way home through the night, middle of the night, hallucinating. Like, you got these lights on. Like, is that a raccoon or is that not a raccoon? Like, it was a little bit spooky, but I wanted to keep it going. And then that's when Ken Buckman got involved at that point on his e-bike, and that's a different story down maybe a couple minutes from now. And then WOW 3 was, and we realized that 40 days is too many. Like, we're not going to get that many riders, and it's more about quantity. I mean, quality is important, but we needed some quantity. So we cut it to 2 weeks, and we rode from Mount Rushmore home. 13 days, 1,200 miles, something like that. Great ride. We had some terrible weather that ride, though. That was like we stopped in enough Walgreens to get enough baby rash stuff for saddle sores and everything. It was pretty bad. WOW 4 was Michigan. We left, this was probably one of the harder ones. We left Mackinac and rode down the coast of Lake Michigan, but it was 790 miles in 7 days. So we did 120 something miles a day with 0 rest days. Pretty intense. That's where we rode into. My son was playing football at University of Michigan at that point, so I had talked to Jim Harbaugh, and he got me into the right place and got us into the big house. So we literally got to ride down the tunnel, ride around the big house. From my questioning of them, nobody's ever done that. And then we presented University of Mott Children's Hospital, University of Michigan, with a check for $500,000 for some clinical research trials that they were doing. And then basically rode out of there and headed towards Kalamazoo and home. So that was 790 miles in 7 days. So that was pretty intense. Raised, I think that might have been our biggest ride. I think we raised maybe close to 800,000 on that one.
Okay.
And then WOW 5, War on Wheels 5, which was the last before we rebranded, was Washington, D.C. home. Another 2-week ride. Had about close to 20 riders on that. And that was 50,000 feet of climbing up through when we left DC up until we, whatever, I can't remember what mountain range it is. It's not the Appalachians, but it's one of those. That was intense. And then a week of, that was late October we did that ride. We had snow. We had miserable conditions. But that was a 2-week ride. Then we decided to make it where we want more riders. So we're going to do, the destination rides are hard because everyone's got to fly somewhere and then ride home. Mm-hmm. So you're ruling out people and you're looking at schedules, and 2 weeks is still a lot. So last year when we rebranded to the CUREage Ride, we left Lurie Children's like we're going to do this year, and we rode up the Michigan side and then took a ferry over on we had an off day. It was we had like a 10-mile ride, but we took the ferry over and then back down through into Milwaukee and then back down through Wisconsin, kind of like we're doing this year. And we wanted to make that the permanent course. Like, we want to have a permanent course so we can start developing relationships in these towns and maybe get the towns to have a competition, who can raise the money and so on. Well, we get to the ferry in Muskegon and they're like, good thing it wasn't yesterday. I'm like, why is that? And he goes, well, we couldn't cross yesterday. It was too windy and the waves are too big. I was like, we probably shouldn't set the ride up based on a variable that we cannot control whatsoever. So hence this year, Lurie's is we're leaving Lurie's and we're going to go up.
Yeah. Let's tell people what we're doing. So we're going 450 miles,
450-ish miles in 5 days.
Okay. Day one, we're doing how many miles?
104.
104. We're leaving from where?
Lurie Children's Hospital on next Tuesday, the September 30th. We go from Lurie Children's Hospital to East Troy, Wisconsin. That's our first leg, 104 miles. Now, there may be a curveball in there because I talked to Stacy today, and there's a newly diagnosed 4-year-old in Lindenhurst, which is slightly below where our lunch break is, about 10 minutes from there. So we may look into a surprise bike parade past this new 4-year-old's house. That's to be determined, but that could add or subtract a mile or two. Day 2 is East Troy to.
So we're going to sleep at hotels.
Hotels, yep.
Yeah. So let's.
Yep.
let's talk about the day ride first.
Yep.
So the first day, we're not riding 104 miles straight.
Nope.
So we're going to start at 8 a.m.
Ballpark 8 a.m. Yep.
and we're going to ride how many miles?
First stop is at 26 or 7 miles.
Okay.
And we have Rob, who's one of our board members, wonderful board member. He's got an RV, so he's kind of our food guy. Him and his wife are our food people. So they'll have, when you get to that.
We're going to have support teams. We're going to have support cars.
Yep.
Cars following us with our gear.
Correct.
All the broken parts.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we don't need our bike. We do have a bike mechanic with us. He will ride some of it. We've got 2 mechanics, actually. They both are riders. So a lot of times they'll ride.
A lot of people are volunteering, giving up their time, money,
the bike rack.
resources.
So the bike rack in St. Charles is our basically our sponsor and our support. So they will have a van with us that has all the parts in it, everything we need in case something goes wrong. Knock on wood, it doesn't. So we've got 4 vehicles plus an RV. The RV when we pull up to that rest stop. So you're going to be new at this.
You're going
to be nervous. You're going to be. You're not trained appropriately. We can talk about that later. But you'll be nervous as heck. And I mean, this is my 7th year. I've ridden every single mile of this ride, and I'm still nervous.
Right.
Because things can go wrong. Flat tire. I'm responsible for the route. What if we get up 3 miles and now there's a new construction? I just rode the route the other day, 2-3 days ago. And I found from 3 weeks ago, 7 or 8 changes I had to make because of new construction that just started.
And how do you plan this out? Do you use an app? Do you use?
So basically what the planning process starts on Google Maps.
Okay.
And a general thought process of where we're going. So I Google map it and then I get on Ride with GPS or whatever that app is. I can't remember. And it's got the maps. And then I start plotting and then I go back and forth.
Okay.
Between Google and looking at the satellites and looking at this and looking at that, and then I start looking at routes where we were planning on going. Because Anna at Cal's and she's our rock when it comes to this. She'll have hotels, and we kind of talk about as a team where we're going to stop and what the mileage looks like and so on.
So we're going to stop at 26 miles.
26 miles.
Okay. And then we have lunch at that point?
That's our first break. That's just a 15-20 minute Theragun. Refill the bottles, get some nutrition. There'll be a whole spread out of bagels and whatever.
Get some carbs in you.
Get some carbs in you. Yeah.
And then we ride for another 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours.
No, I mean the lunch stop is I think at just under 60. So from there we got 35 miles. So that'll be hour and a half, close to 2, depending. And day 1 leaving Chicago on a Tuesday, it's going to be a little tricky. It's going to be a little dicey. We're on Sheridan Road for a ton of it. Heading north once we get past Northwestern. We'll be on the lake a little bit. Then we pop off onto Sheridan. Then we're back on the lake trail. And then, we actually are going to come in right behind Northwestern's temporary football stadium. It's really cool. And then we hop on Sheridan Road and go north. Like we're going through Lake Forest and Highland Park and whatever else up there in the North Shore.
So we'll have a late lunch after 60 miles.
Correct.
And after that, we're going to have 50 more to go.
Yep, and we'll have, so basically then I try to plan the last stop anywhere between 85 and 90, so we only have 10 to 15 in.
So we'll go 60 to, another 20, 30.
Yep.
Okay.
And the last stop is kind of just it's not the RV and stuff like that. It's just kind of a quick stop. Usually it's just the van, refill your water. You're on the downhill. You got 15 miles or maybe 10 miles left to go. So you're feeling a little bit of adrenaline because you're almost done, right? You're almost done. Whatever strains have developed in that first 100 miles, because I think my longest ride this year is 30-ish. Yours is probably less than that.
My longest ride this year is 60.
Okay. Oh, you got a 60 in. I saw that. That's right.
In,
Okay, so you got a 60 in.
But I'm typically only doing 20.
Right. You're used to 20.
Yeah.
I mean, so when we get to the first stop, you're going to be like, I'm about done.
That's done.
That's my day.
That's my day.
Yeah.
So I remember the 60 I did, I was sore for a couple days. I was starving afterwards.
Oh, yes.
I had no food. I had 2 bottles of water the whole ride. Like I'm thinking to myself, like,
You bonked, basically?
Yeah, big dummy. I just rode 60. I said, I'm just ride 60. That's all I did. Just got on the bike and rode.
Right.
The tricky part about this is obviously, you have things going on in life. I have things going on. Trying to train for this it's not,
It's easily planned out when you're going to train, and then
stuff happens.
Kids, business, everything comes. Injuries, everything gets in the way, and you're like, well, I'm not backing out.
I'm not backing out. Yeah, definitely not backing out.
And here's the thing. Here's what I would tell you, and it's told riders for the last 6-7 years, like, these kids are fighting something horrendous. Like, we get to go ride our bike, and it's not, you will be in pain. I promise you will strain something. I promise you'll, even if you don't strain something just on it, like overdoing it, too many watts on the quads or whatever, because you're not in shape, you're going to wake up the next day and be sore. And
your hips,
you're going to get on the bike again. And that the second day, it's hard. Like that first 20 miles, you're like, your legs feel like concrete. You're like, man, this is not comfortable. And then your body is a beautiful thing. It comes around and you're like, okay, this isn't bad, but you got to fight through this stuff. And this is a really, really hilly course. And what I typically do is try to, as much as I can within a ride, it's this mimicking the fight that these kids and these families are going through.
Yeah. And we'll bring back the Bucky conversation, the e-bike.
Yeah.
So Bucky made a comment to you like, hey, let's have an e-bike division to get more riders involved.
Yep. Yeah. So WOW 2 was the shortened, the 24-hour one. And Ken wanted to do it. He was all fired up, but he committed really late. So he's like, I'm going to ride an e-bike. And he has this big old, beautiful e-bike, upright. And we're on our 10 speeds, call them whatever you want to call them, our cycling bikes. And he's on him and his buddy are on their big old uprights and with the bags and the big old tires. And I'm not kidding. He conducted a Zoom conference call while he was riding at one point. We're like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm just talking. He literally is like a board meeting or something. That's typical
Bucky. So let's pause for a second. Bucky was, besides Pat, who's my co-host on here, was mine and Pat's first guest on this podcast.
Okay, I saw that. Yeah.
So he was our first guest. I posted it, and have you and I rode before together?
No.
In a group? Okay, so maybe some other guys.
Yeah.
You reached out. You said saw the podcast.
Yeah.
We talked about it, and then you and I went and had a burrito.
Yep.
And I think I messaged you, I'm in, and you're like, no, let's meet first.
Yeah, well, you did. You messaged like, I'm in. I'm like, no, I want to talk to you about this first.
Yeah.
Like, because I knew you from somewhere else, and somebody else knew you were a rider at some point, which is why I reached out to you when I saw the Bucky podcast. I'm recruiting new riders every year. Next year, we hope we have 50 riders.
Yep. If anyone wants to join, anyone's a rider, anyone wants to do it, raise money for a good cause. And I've heard it's a lot of fun. I think create a good
camaraderie is phenomenal because you're grinding out there. Yep. And we've gotten every year last year we had I think 2 or 3 guys that had never pedaled a bike in their life. I mean, short of being a kid, they went out and bought road bikes and literally first they never had been in a group ride before, and they're riding out there. Right. They're learning as they go. I think honestly our ride would be a phenomenal corporate team building experience for small business. Their management. I mean, obviously. It's a pretty extreme scenario, but given enough time and putting some time into it, it could be a pretty good team building scenario for a great cause and pretty good PR for your business, quite frankly.
Definitely.
Let's go back to Bucky really quick. So he does the 24-hour ride from Iowa. That was the WOW 2 when we couldn't do anything with COVID. So he's trucking along, and at one point, he's behind us. We're like, get your big bike up in front with the battery in it so we can get behind you. He's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. But then he called me afterwards, after the ride, and he's all excited, very excitable guy, love him to death. And he's like, we need to do an e-bike division. And I'm like, yeah, no, not happening. I said, not on my watch. I go, if you can tell me the e-bike version of kids having cancer, well, consider it. He's like, but riders, and I get it. But this ride is geared to somewhat mimic what these kids and families are going through. And it's not an e-bike. No, it's grinding.
You don't get a decision.
Suffering.
Yeah.
It's 190 beats per minute heart rate. It's ready to seeing stars when you're climbing, and not to scare you, but we have an enormous amount of climbing coming up.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I have I try to do some challenging things in life.
Right.
Obviously, you have 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I have 5 kids.
Yep.
We know how challenging that is.
Yes. Definitely.
You went through some things with your daughter that's obviously challenging. I have a special needs daughter as well, so I've gone through some things, not as much as you. And those are struggles. But I have, you're a business owner. Sometimes you just get comfortable in your routine.
Yep.
And you got to get out of that routine. And I'm excited to strain myself to get out of my comfortable routine that I've been in the past, 6 months to a year since I've done, a High Rocks challenge or something. Kind of push your limits a little bit. We don't get to train as much like we used to with,
we're not as young.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to push myself out of the comfort zone that I've been in for a little while. And I know I am. And one, be able to say, hey, I've done this. It's a great accomplishment.
For sure.
And then know what I need to train for next year.
Yep. The fun thing about, the piece that when we get new riders in and this is a recruitment piece. We've got a lot of novice riders, and I'm talking novice that haven't ever ridden like this before. You know what I mean? They get a bike and they find out about this. Maybe they've got a family member or a family friend that son has cancer. Like, I want to do something. I want to help. And they go buy a road bike in May. And then I'm, if they're local, like a lot of times I'll have like, hey, come out with me into the boonies and I want you to ride on my wheel and get comfortable riding close, because I've had enough riders and you know how this is. You're saving about 30% energy, 40% energy when you're on somebody's wheel, when you're drafting. And these guys are afraid to be that close because they're not comfortable. And then all of a sudden they're a mile back. You know what I mean? It's like, no, get comfortable on a wheel.
I've the first ride I ever did was with a group of people. Was with Mike Reedy.
Yep.
And Rick.
Mike's great. Yeah.
Before that ride that I did with them.
Yep.
I think my longest ride was like 10 miles. Mike's like, let's go. We did 43 miles that day. And I was learning. That was the last time I was actually in a big group.
Yep.
I typically ride with another buddy or by myself.
Yep.
Like the 60 miles was by myself.
Yeah.
So getting 60 miles in by yourself is different than
100%.
a group.
I haven't ridden with a group this year.
Yeah. So
and when you get with a group, you're like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah. When you're pulling you along, and when people really, I've talked to people about it and they're like, oh, why is that guy on his wheel? Like, no, he's pulling. He's like, what are you talking about?
Yep.
Like, you save a ton of energy. Yep. It is helpful. And
doesn't help on the climbing we have the next week though.
Yeah, it does help on the climbing, but I'm excited. I'll definitely be in group 2, and I'm excited to kind of.
And we'll have a big group. I mean, there's, like I said, there's going to be 50% of the time we might be split into 2 groups, and the other 50% will be in one big 20-person group chugging along. And
that's okay. And we have one goal to raise money for these kids.
Yep. And I can't explain what these, and I can talk about it from first party because I went through it with my daughter. And I've been to enough funerals of kids in the last 10 years that have been Cal's kids it's devastating. Like, I can go through the names. Like I've got bands. This is Megan Sporney. Liv, Blake, local kid from Plainfield North, or he would have gone to Plainfield North. Like Shane, there's so many kids that they grab your heart. And I'm blessed to get to know some of them, and it's not a blessing when they leave though, and so seeing what they go through and knowing firsthand, my daughter had some pretty close calls during her fight. And it's not always from the cancer, it's from the treatments that are devastating to the immune system in the body. So she got, whatever it was at the point, whatever flu it was back in 2015, where she had nothing left. Like, it was touch and go for 3 or 4 mornings where like, you're just hoping to hear the beeping on the machines, because that means her heart's beating. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of stress there for a lot of families, and it's not getting any better. But there's hope. There's a lot. We've invested at Cal's. We've invested in some really, really good trials, and we are really strong stewards of the money that we raise. We don't just put it into the black hole of research. Like, we vet where the money's going, what it's doing. We require, reports, quarterly reports. And if it's not going well or something's going sideways, we'll stop the funding. So if we commit $1 million to a certain clinical trial, it'll be, $333,000 over 3 years, or whatever the terms are. And we give payments, but we have to get reports to get their payments. So we want to know what's going on with the money. We're not just going, here you go, because you don't know where that money goes. We want our money. So the money that you're raising and that I'm raising, beating our bodies up next week, mm-hmm. we know what it's doing, and we give those reports back to our donors. So we have an amazing staff mm-hmm. of girls over there. We get way more bang out of our buck than some of the bigger organizations. And we're not small. We're a $4 or $5 million organization. Jersey Mike's has been huge for us this year. Culver's is our corporate sponsor, our lead sponsor on the ride. The huge amounts of money that are coming from these organizations.
How much money are we going to raise on this ride? Oh,
gosh, this is, I would hope to be in the $500,000 range, kind of because I feel like it's still being the CUREage Ride. It's not War on Wheels, so it's rebranded. It's the same people. Glenn is away right now, and we're working to get him back, and I have a feeling he'll ride next year. But I would hope to get $500,000, and that money is going right to a kid somewhere, to a trial that will help a kid. One of the things that is scary is that it's hard to not know. You're going to know a kid with cancer, like at least 1 degree of separation. Oh, your friend's daughter has cancer, or whatever the case may be. So it's becoming more and more prevalent. And my daughter was 2010 when she was diagnosed. And on our first ride, we were on Route 66 is what we took all the way home, right? And if you know the story, what's the Cars, Disney, the Cars, like Route 66 kind of died, and there's dead buildings and cars, and it's an amazing ride, quite frankly. But I remember going past some little small podunk town that now is, tumbleweeds flying through it, and 1970s cars, they're just abandoned. I've been abandoned for 30 years. And I looked at a truck and something, I said, it's comical and it's sad that the same drugs in my daughter's protocol in 2010 are being used from 1970. Nothing has changed in a lot of these protocols. So they're still using the chemos that are devastating to the body. They're still using a variety of other literally chemicals, because they kill everything, including the cancer, but they're also killing all the good things and just hoping that the good stuff comes back. So with my daughter, Maddie, she's a success story. She's more than the 5 years out. So past that 5-year window where you're like crossing your fingers that you don't relapse, we don't know if she can have kids. We don't know the long-term damage that's been done by 3 years of some of the craziest drugs ever that were pumped into her body. Cancer's gone, but what secondary damage is still there? So we need to change what we're doing to our kids. And a lot of the clinical research that's done at kids is it'll feed up, but the adult stuff doesn't feed down. The federal government only funds 4%. 4% of the cancer budget goes to pediatrics. 4%. So our kids get 4%, which is the other 96% has to come from organizations like us, from us going to kick our butts next week and suffer and and cry and all the stuff. Because it doesn't come from the government.
No, it doesn't.
It's not changing.
Our the next podcast we're filming is actually about the pharmaceutical world and a guy that has fought the pharmaceutical world for a while, and he has found a cure to sickle cell disease.
That's amazing.
And it'll be, I believe, by the end of the year, be rolled out. But to your point, a lot of these things that the government kind of gives money towards, and I'm definitely being careful with what I say.
Right. It's a business.
It's a business. Yeah, they want to they want to keep patching people up and not cure them.
Correct. There's a lot more money in all the adults that have because as an adult we're going to get a myriad of different cancers: environmental, habitual, smoking, whatever the things that lead to 50 different cancers we can get. Well, there's a lot of money there. I mean, billions upon billions of dollars, and the kids don't get cancer as much because it's typically not environmental, because they're not old enough to get cancer from working in a factory or smoking cigarettes or whatever might happen. So unfortunately, we only get 4%. So the rest has to come from organizations like Cal's Angels and things that we have to do to raise the money to get it into the research tunnel.
That and help people out that truly need it, and
100%.
Not pay money towards large salaries that maybe it's really not going towards that
Correct.
benefit.
Yeah. If you look at some of the bigger companies, the amount of money that is going to the end user product is not great.
Yeah.
So
what not to change your subject quickly here, but why War on Wheels, or why a bike ride? How did you come up with the idea of or Glenn, how did he come up with the idea of we're doing a bike ride?
I think he saw a couple of different rides raising money. And he was a cyclist. He had gotten into cycling. Glenn's, and I'm over 50. I won't go how far over 50 I am. Actually, we shared a birthday, last week.
September 17th.
Great people are born in September. Virgos are the best.
That's right. Edgar was a couple days after us. 19th, Edgar. Yep.
September people are power players. That's for sure. He had been riding, and he, I think he just said, why not do something and do something epic? Like I said, California to Illinois on a bike. It's funny because I've told people, our first one was California here. Was it Harleys? And I'm like, no,
I told a guy that today on the phone. He goes, "Oh, congratulations! What kind of bike you have? Is it a Harley?" And I'm like,
Gold Wing,
dude,
what do you got?
I'm pedaling a Trek.
Yep.
Like,
It's a Trek.
He's like,
Yeah.
what? He's like, it's a Trek. I'm like, no, it's a Trek bicycle. He had no idea. He thought we were taking Harleys.
Right.
Like,
And
oh, it's cool.
most people go, you're 500 miles in 5 days, ballpark, like, oh, wow, it's how many? No, we're pedaling it. It's people power.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah. And so Glenn, he just came up with the idea, saw a couple of rides and said, we're biking. And we had done, originally we were aligned with Sammy's Bike Shop in St. Charles. Great bike shop. Just kind of ran its course with them and we moved on a little bit over to the bike rack. But we had done something early on for Maddie's fundraiser for Maddie. It was just called Bike the Fight. It literally, we left Sammy's in St. Charles and rode to our house in Yorkville. And it was, a 35 mile. And that's, I'm not a cyclist by nature. Like I don't, if you had asked me a couple of years before Maddie was sick, like if I'd ever put tights and stuff like that, I'd be like, no.
Oh, I always made fun of the guys when I'm driving, like those guys are jerks.
Yep. 100%.
And I'm like, I'm never wearing those. I'm making fun of the guys wearing tights. And here I am 20 minutes ago. I just got, walked in there with tights on. My dad's looking at me like, what are you wearing?
Right. It's aerodynamic, Dad. It's compression and aerodynamic. So yeah, I'm not a cyclist by nature. I
had a buddy tell me I need to shave my legs too. Is that, I'm not going that far.
You want to trim them a little bit maybe, but I wouldn't shave your legs.
Not shave my legs.
Do not do that. No, I'm not a cyclist by nature. I'm doing it for a reason.
Well, he said because if you fall and you get the stones,
it's easier to pick stones out. I think it's that. But I'm not doing that. But yeah, I'm not a cyclist by nature. You're not a cyclist by nature. You're doing it for a reason. Like it's to raise money for kids going through arguably the worst thing you can do as a child with cancer. I mean, there's a lot of other medical scenarios. There's a lot of other things, but cancer it's atrocious. Mm-hmm. It is the suffering that goes on is, I can't explain, the things that go on in fighting cancer because of the poisons we're sticking in their body to kill the cancer. And obviously there's a lot of kids that gain their wings, and don't win their battles because of the disease.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not a cyclist at all. 2018, 2019, my buddy Kevin Casper got me into, mountain biking. Yep. And, so started mountain biking with him out in Arizona. I bought a mountain bike and started riding around here. And then a few years ago, 2020 is when I bought a road bike. And I don't ride that often. Mike Reedy kind of got me into that a little bit. And got a funny story about how I met Mike. But, for people that are interested in getting this ride, I'm not some avid, bike rider. I'm just a normal guy who can
segue back to Mike in a second. But we have 22 or 23 riders performing, participating in this ride next week. I would say 5 or 6 are cyclists.
Yeah.
Like dudes that just are great cyclists. And the rest are people riding bikes.
Yeah. And guys who don't want to do the whole ride and maybe do some of it every day, like you could do that too.
Yeah.
We're looking for guys that want to have a good time.
Yep. Be part of a team.
Help some kids out.
Yep.
And be a good time to be around, raise some money.
Yeah.
We're here to raise some money. That's
our goal is 50 riders. Like every year to jump in at 50 riders. If we go big above that, then we may need a professional logistics people at that point. But 50 riders riding the same course every year. So back to Mike. How'd you meet Mike?
So I was driving down Book Road.
Okay.
And I see this guy standing on the corner, and at this time I had to meet my dad.
Okay.
And so kind of a little bit in a rush. Saw this guy standing in the corner, and I saw he had a flat tire. And I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
And I left the light, and I'm like, man, I bet you that guy is going to go to the Trek store. And this is during COVID.
Okay.
So on Wednesdays, they were building, but they closed down on Wednesdays, and they would build bikes. Mm-hmm. And I knew that because I, know the guys that run the place. And something told me, I'm like, you should turn around and go help that guy. So I go down the block, turn around, and I said, hey, you need help? He's like, yeah, I got a flat. He's like, I don't have anything with me to fix it. And I said, well, are you going to Trek, which is right down the street? He's like, yeah, I was going to go over there. My daughter was going to bring me. I said, well, they're closed. He's like, you got to be kidding me. I said, I'll tell you what. I'll call him. I know he's there.
Right.
They're putting bikes together. But when we go in there, pretend that you know me. Because if I just start bringing random riders in there, he's going to be like, really, dude? Come on. So call him up. And I bring him over there. I call my buddy up, said, hey, I got a guy that's got a flat. Can you please, help him out? He's on a ride. He's like, yeah, no problem. So I'm standing there. They're fixing flat. And he's like, what's your name? And I'm like, oh, I'm Jeff. And I'm like, what's your name? He's like, Mike Reedy. I'm like, oh, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm one of the judges in DuPage County. I'm like, perfect.
Solid. That was a good job turning around.
Yeah. Thanks for getting me out of,
Yeah, Mike's a guy, and we have a big group chat.
Yep.
Because ridden with him for 10 years, give or take, He's
solid dude. He always involves everybody.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And he works. Like, he's a triathlon guy. You get him out. I haven't ridden him. I think I only rode with him. I don't know if I rode with him maybe once this year. Because I haven't been riding. And he lives out here, but he used to come out towards Yorkville all the time. He's got another buddy, Chris, another attorney buddy. Yeah. But Mike's a machine. His quads, those things are just going.
He has gotten me to do some things that I typically don't run long distance.
Right.
I obviously used to train with a lot of NFL guys, things like that. But I never did long distance riding.
Me neither.
I did 43 miles with him. That was my longest ride. And he's like, hey, I need to go train. Do you want to run with me? And I'm always up for a challenge. I'm like, I don't run.
Yeah.
But I'll run.
Yeah.
We went and did like 7.5 miles. And I'm like, this dude is an absolute machine.
Yep.
He
just goes. He just goes.
Happy guy,
great human being. Yeah. Great human being. You need to lean on him a little bit.
I will.
That whole group of mine, not my group, but the guys that have ridden out kind of in the Yorkville area for a lot of years, I have zero. I'm 0 for none of them. And I granted before 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I understand.
I'm pretty sure I've ridden with Rick before with Mike.
Okay. So that's possible.
Out of Yorkville.
Yep.
I want to talk about training a little bit, not quite training, but just riding in general. Mm-hmm. The first and only time I think I ever ridden on a road, or a couple times, was with Mike.
Yep.
I don't like riding on a road. And there are options other than road bikes. People are like, I'm not doing it. I can't train because I can't be on a road. Yep. I don't ride on a road. I ride on trails. All the trails around here, all the paths. I didn't realize how many paths were around. People are like, we don't have paths. We have a lot of paths. Okay. Some of them I was actually part of building for for Plainfield, so I do know some of those.
Right.
But you can get pretty far on these bike passes out without
getting on a road.
Getting on a road, you obviously have to cross at lights.
Yeah.
But I haven't trained on the road at all, not once during this entire thing. I've done only bike passes. That 60-mile ride was only bike pass.
Nice.
That was it. A couple sidewalks.
Yep.
Right. I had to get on a sidewalk a couple times, cross street. But I refused to ride on the road because of safety and cell phones, and a tire blows out in a car and comes and hit. Like I am afraid of that. So people that are afraid, like I can't, I can't ride or I can't train. Like, you can train on the bike pass. It is a little bit harder, a little bit bumpier with the bike path breakups and things. A little
more people depending on the day if it's nice out.
Yeah, you're. I don't know if you look at my average speed and things like that. It's obviously lower than it should be because you have to stop, slow down. There's two people coming at each other. You got to wait. There's a lot of coming on your left. People's dogs' leashes around their. So
a lot of logistics on the bike paths for sure.
Is, but I believe it's safer.
100%.
So people that I can't ride, you can ride on a bike path.
Correct.
And you can train that way. And obviously I know I'm going to get beat up on this ride because I haven't been able just to go pedal out in the middle of nowhere.
And nor have you done any climbing.
Nor have I done it. I did climb over the 59 95th bridge. Yeah, that's
probably 2%. You're going to see 14-15%.
Yeah. Last time I did climbing was in Arizona, probably 3 years ago.
Okay,
that was really the
muscle memory. You're a trainer. It'll come back.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
No, the riding on the road thing, like I live west, so I live in Yorkville basically. So for me, it's easy to kind of go out the back door and then head that way out towards down the Fox River Valley, Newark, and granted, you're still on a road and there's still cars. Most of the roads out there have some shoulders, so you need to find either if you're living in the true burbs like Naperville, heading east that way. Mm-hmm. You're going to be on paths. I know some guys I've ridden out in Lamont with Mike Reedy before, but those are some busy roads. For the training piece, for new riders, potential new riders, it depends on where you live, but path, obviously you got Pelotons these days, you get an indoor bike for the off season, you start training in the wintertime. There's nothing but health benefits out of this either.
Peloton's pretty cheap right now too.
Yeah, right. They've come down. So there's the other double benefit is you're helping yourself, which is potentially helping your family. You're showing your kids. One of the things that, I have 5 kids, like developing great human beings behind you to leave your legacy to. if they come home and see you sitting on the couch all the time.
My kids come down here. I mean, you saw the weight room we have here and all the equipment we have. They come down here and work out with me.
But when you tell them they know what you're doing next week, and when you get back, I don't know if they're going to come in on Saturday and watch us come in.
I hope so. Yeah, we'll see.
It's a pretty cool because we have there's poppers, there's fire trucks, it's a big deal. Like you look back at our old videos, and you'll have goosebumps, and you might want to cry because you've just accomplished something pretty cool. But whether they're there or not, like you get to come home and go, Dad just rode, basically just rounded up 500 miles. 100 miles a day for 5 days. Like it's something. And my kids have seen that, and I know it kind of wires them. I've got a Power 4 football player. I've got
Georgia Tech
was a Michigan, he was national champion at Michigan, and grad transferred to Georgia Tech. Tight end, was a quarterback. Lovie Smith recruiting class at Illinois back in the day, and then during COVID, and then so he's one of those quadruple super seniors. The COVID year, a redshirt year, learned a new position at Michigan, tough to do, won a national championship, played some meaningful snaps in the Natty year, grad transferred. So and then I've got my daughter, Maddie, who's my second, who had cancer. She's an amazing human being, obviously going to be a nurse, jumping right back into the fight and helping people. Then I've got a kid who graduated a year and change ago. He's a Marine. He's a machine, literally. And then I've got a quarterback at Yorkville, senior, with some scholarship offers, and then a junior. My daughter Addie, she's my trailer, so to speak, and she's an athlete as well. But I'm a firm believer that if your kids see that you're doing things like this, they're not going to be the kid that just sits around and goes, they're like, I got to keep up with Dad. Like you're setting a precedent for your children. So any of you prospective riders out there, think about that. Think about what you're showing your kids. So the benefits are endless. Your personal health, what you're showing your kids, your coworkers. Like you go into your work one day and you say, hey, I need some money from you. Can you donate $100? Well, what are you doing? I'm riding 500 miles in 5 days, and they're going to fall out of their chair. So, and then your personal health, and then you're helping the kids. Like it's the benefits are endless. So, that's my sales pitch.
I've got a Plainfield police officer I'm trying to get ride with us next year.
Okay.
And then an Oswego fireman that I played football with in high school growing up, trying to ride with us next year. So the fireman is new to riding. So he just bought a bike last week. Okay. So he's, got him on Strava. The police officer is more of a freak rider. So
and we've got those. We run the gamut. Like I said, we've got some crazy riders that I like to think, just being an athlete myself and having ridden, I can hold my own when I'm in shape, but this year is not that year.
Right. Yeah. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to push through.
I'm excited to see how you do. I'm excited.
We're roommates.
I know. I knew that. I set that up.
Okay. So you're going to see me in Agni. Like, oh.
It was you or Kevin McDowell. So Kevin McDowell, we have a silver medalist that rides with us. He's been on the ride. He's a cancer survivor as well. So I forgot about Kevin. He was he was an Olympian. So he won the silver in the mixed relays in Japan? Was it Japan? The last Summer Olympics. And then he finished 6th, I think, in the individual, the highest finish United States individual triathlon finisher ever. And he was supposed to be like the guy back here. Like in the triathlon, he was supposed to be the guy that was helping our front runner to medal. He had a better day, and he just said bye. And the grit that he showed in that race, off the charts. So he's riding with us. So he's typically been my roommate. I dropped Kevin for you. So that should show you you're an important guy.
I appreciate that. Well, we get to talk shop a little bit. Yeah. We're in the same industry.
Yep.
We're in the restoration industry.
You stole a fire from me down in Morris a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
The Pancake House?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm actually getting texts on it right now.
I had a guy down there, and he lives in Morris, and he went over there, and OC was on it. I'm like, yeah, I know him.
Yeah, it was the nephew of the owner.
Okay.
I know the nephew of the owner.
Got it.
I've said I know the
networking,
right?
Yep.
It's important.
For sure.
What was funny is I got called by the insurance agents, and they said, hey, Fire Morris, the guy that we typically give our work to, he's busy tied up with some other bigger fires. Do you want this one? I said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Labor Day. And I'm like, rally the troops on Labor Day. Yep. So we rallied the troops. We got, the guys out there to board up and fence things like, and obviously there was a bunch of fire chasers there. And the owner was a little hesitant, right? You don't want someone coming in and being like, hey, use this guy. And I'll tell you how that fire started in a second.
Okay.
But everyone's like, oh, it's Greek lightning. I'm like, dude, you have no idea. This poor guy. So I said, hey, they were talking about a guy named Gus. And they said his last name. And I'm like, there's not many Gus's with that last name that are attorneys. And they were calling him because they're like, well, my attorney will look over the paperwork. Well, that attorney wrote all my contracts. So I said, this guy? He's like, that's my nephew. I called him. They were trying to call him for 40 minutes. They wouldn't pick up the phone. He picked up the phone. Jeff, what's up, dude? How are you? I'm like, yeah, not good. He's like, oh boy, what happened? And I said, well, I'm here with your uncle. He's, crap, what happened? Told his uncle in Greek, like, hey, this guy will take care of you.
Got it.
And he goes, it's your seat. His nephew wrote all my contracts.
Got it.
So it's good to know people, networking, right? That's all this is. And,
100%.
I think that's one of the most important things. And another reason I do these rides, I get to meet great people 100%. That help other people out.
Yep.
And that's
kind
of what this is about.
You'll meet some high net worth guys and some everyone in between, everywhere in between. Yeah. Like we've got every year we've got probably, counting you, probably 6 or 7 new riders that maybe more than that. Maybe 50% of our riders are brand new to this.
Okay.
We've got a couple that based on the timing that wanted to ride. We got to get Bucky back. And by the way, I think he's riding the first half, the first 50 miles.
I knew last night at that call that was him.
You did?
I knew that was him.
Yeah. So we texted back and forth. I tried calling him today. He didn't take my call. I'll have to yell at him about that. But so he's going to ride the first 40 to 50. And then he'll be back next year. I won't let him plan any trips. No more 3-week, 5-week cruises, whatever else he's doing. He's got, him, he's got his hands in 500 things.
Yep.
But we'll have to lock him down for next year because I could tell you a couple stories on the ride, just Bourbon Bucky. I can't remember what small town we were coming out of, and he got a little carried away the one night, and I had to go back and get him. He's like 5 miles back. Like we're in the middle of nowhere. This was the Mount Rushmore ride. We were in the middle of somewhere. South Dakota, whatever the case may be, and he's gone. Like he's off the back, and I can't even see him. He's so far back, and he gotten into a whole bottle of bourbon at one point, so that's why Bourbon Bucky. And I go back there, and we've got a little bit of a tailwind, and we're going 18 to 20, just a nice little Peloton going along. He falls off the back. I go back. I ride like a mile back, and he's pedaling along at 14 miles an hour, just in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, hey, I go, get on my wheel. Let's go. And he's still feeling the effects. He hadn't sweated it out yet. And gets on my wheel, and I'm going 16, 17, and just assuming he's back there. I look back. He's 100 yards back. So I went back, and there we came to a 4-way stop out in the middle of nowhere, and I barked at him pretty good, like, let's go. and I probably another 10, 15 miles, he had kind of sweated it all out, and he was ready to go. Like
that's awesome.
But he's a strong rider when he gets going. Like surprisingly, if you ride with him next year, the one thing you got to get him to do is you'll bump shift. Like his RPMs, his cadence is like 110. And he's just and shift. You're burning energy.
I can't do that. Yeah. I just need to pedal. Just go.
He's fun to be with.
Yeah, it's for me. I'm not. I think a lot. What I think new riders would think about and be scared to do. I'm not scared to do anything. Like I'll try it. Let's do it. Yeah. Start a new business. Do whatever. Yeah. I don't care. I'll go. What I'm afraid of is etiquette, right? When I first learned golf, can I do this? I'm nervous to swing the golf club. Is this bad? Is this good? Am I wearing the right thing?
Yep.
And I've got some questions about clothes. I have no idea.
Right.
Like being on a wheel or what the etiquette is. And, obviously I rode with a couple guys and I'm hearing some things they talk about, but knowing you guys and how people think bikers are jerks. They're not. They're normal people that
there's a cross section of humanity everywhere. There's a lot of jerks that ride bikes, but they're not jerks because they're cyclists.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just jerks in general.
And I think you guys are always more than willing to help out and teach and be okay with having novice. I'm a novice rider.
100%. And we've got a couple guys. I think we've got 1 or 2 guys that just bought bikes again this year. Like never been on a bike before besides training since they decided to do this ride. They went out and bought a bike and there's going to be people, because it could be Jody, that are not going to make it up some of these hills. It could be you, promise. You might be fine, but some of these hills that we're going to go on, and especially the third day, is whew, they're long.
As long as we got someone that can fix my chains as I pedal. You know, when I first got my mountain bike, the guy at the truck store was like, "What are you doing?" It was a pivot mountain bike.
Yeah, great bikes.
All my hubs were just grinded. He's like, "How are you pedaling that hard?" So I ended up getting Industry 9 hubs to help out with that with bigger teeth.
Yeah.
And then the bike world is crazy because you can spend an insane amount of money, endless. So I bought this Trek Domani, and I'm like, "This is great."
Yeah.
A few $1,000. I'm like, "This is great."
Mm-hmm.
Well, for this ride, I spent money to make these things last, have good things. I'm still breaking stuff.
Yeah, you can buy we've got guys who've brand new riders go out and spend $2,000. People are like $2,000 on a bike. Well, they hadn't bought a bike since they bought a Huffy at Kmart in 1989 that was like $150. It was like, holy cow. And like $2,000, I'm like, that's entry level.
That's
like bottom.
That's not even entry
That's probably
level.
Still in aluminum, not even in the carbon
My
yet.
Industry 9 wheels were $3,500.
And you can,
and that was in 2020.
Right. I had a conversation with someone today. They're like, what's a really good road bike? We were talking about the ride, and I'm trying to recruit him in because he doesn't have a bike yet. And I'm like, top of the line, you're at $22,000-$23,000
For the
like,
frame.
Well, you can get a full top of the line, anything right now, depending on the groups that you put on there.
Okay.
But $25,000 is like top of the line. Like that's what the guys in the tours are riding. $25,000. They're like $25,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. Trust me. The wheels are $5,000. The frame is $10,000, $15,000, $10,000 to $15,000. The group set is $4,000. You get electronic shifter. You're at 20 like that.
Yeah.
But you can also get a $3,000, $4,000 bike and be perfectly fine. And a lot of people might go, $4,000. Like, whoa, that bike will last you your lifetime if you want it to.
Yeah, this Domani I bought, I mean, it was brand new. I think I paid $3,000 for it. I have more than that in parts and wheels and in different things. Now, I stayed with a cable shifter. I did not go electronic only because I hate technology. I don't want to charge things every night. I already got enough stuff I'm bringing with the charge.
Yep.
They're like, oh, go. I'm like, no. I've dealt with people who have had electronic shifters.
And they when they're great, they're great. When they're fidgety, you're screwed.
Exactly. So, and I don't want to get stuck in a hill. So I said, I'm sticking with the cable. I'm going to be archaic and this.
All good. It all shifts the same.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm nervous.
You should be nervous. You should be.
Yeah.
One of the things, towards the end here, I've got a bike. Going back to WOW 1, and Megan Sporney was the first. It was funny. I just marketing idea pops into my brain. It was about the ride, and I'm like, you know what? I've got these zip wheels, carbon wheels. 3-inch, 4-inch, whatever, carbon wheels. So I pulled all the stickers off them, and we went down to Lurie's, and Fred from Kiss FM is a big supporter of Cal's. He's our speaker at our gala, and he's probably gonna be on the board at some point here. But he was and we did a visit to all these kids, and I had kids like with a gold oil marker, and they wrote their names on the wheels. So pretty soon after I did that, then we ran out of space on the wheels. So now I started putting it on the frame.
That was the bike that was behind you the other night.
Correct. In the net. So that bike, I will ride that. That bike's from 2013. Mm-hmm. Nice bike back in the day, carbon, giant propel. So I will ride that when we leave Lurie's till the first stop, and then I'll ride that basically. And it's basically a rolling museum. It's got over 250 names on it. So every ride that I've been on, certain kids have put their names on the bike themselves. Like Megan Sporney, who we lost June of last year, she was the first one to sign the wheel. And then kind of through the hospital that day, I probably left the hospital with about 20 names for kids that were inpatient or just happened to be there. And then started overloading the wheels. And there's still some space here and there if you get creative. And then started writing on the frame. So WOW 1, Instagram and some other social media platforms, I was kind of reaching out, and I'd get, hey, can you please put my son's name on there? He died in, 2016 of this. And then, so I'm taking phone calls and texts during the ride. So I'm writing it, taking a picture of me, writing their name on the frame, sending it to people across the country. And predominantly it's kids from local, but every ride, like there's been a couple names.
It's a great idea. I'm going to do that with you. I'm
going
to get some.
Yeah. And so Ken Olson, he's one of he's the chiropractor. If you ever need a great chiropractor, Pure Health in Aurora, phenomenal. They lost their daughter to DIPG, Ava. So WOW, his first WOW I think was 2. No, he did 2. That was a 24-hour ride. Like I have pictures of him, like he wrote Ava's name on the bike, and it's emotional for the parents. So I've had parents write their kids' names on the bike that have lost their fights. I've had the actual kids write their names on the bikes, and then other ones I've written on there. And then any name on the bike that's got the wings next to it means they're no longer here. So that's a rolling museum. Stopped riding it for 2 reasons, because the carbon in the back stay was grinding out. One of my must have been loose at some time, so the wheel's back there, and so we put some epoxy on it. And then I just want it to last for forever, as long as I can get it to. So yeah, that bike comes out at the very beginning and at the very end. That's the bike I ride in.
So what happens if, like, I have aftermarket wheels on my bike? What happens if something happens to my wheels?
What do you mean?
Like what if I hit a pothole and bend the?
We've got wheels.
Okay.
We got wheels. I mean, they'll have everything you could possibly do. We've had broken derailleurs. We've had, you name it on these rides. We've got it taken care of with the mechanic. And then we've got probably usually 5 or 6 extra bikes in the trailer that are a variety of sizes. So like Max Olson last year came across a railroad track down a hill, wasn't quite paying attention and ended up skidding along the road a little bit. And he was on a tri-bike at the time. And tri-bikes are not great to ride in groups. Obviously they're made to go a straight line and just get down and go. And so we put his bike away, and they worked on it, and he rode one of the other bikes that was in the trailer for the rest of the ride. So there's other bikes available, and then for the most part, short of something catastrophic, they'll be able to fix it. You may jump on another bike and they fix it that night.
Right.
We get the trailer out, there's bags, and we hang around, have a beer, whatever you do. That's the camaraderie piece, and complain about what's hurting and what your undercarriage feels like, and all the things.
I will tell people that want to get in biking, do not go on a 10-mile ride the first day.
No.
Go out there,
build up the tolerance,
ride 1.5 miles.
Yep.
And the second day, ride 0.5 mile.
Yeah.
Third day, ride a mile.
Take it off and then come back. Yeah.
Do 1 mile a day. And then when you feel up to it, you could do 2 miles.
Right.
Every other day. And you only have to ride once or twice a week, and you start to grow this callus down there that gets used to. But do not go out and ride 10 miles the first day. You're going to hate it. You're never going to get back on.
Correct. Very true.
Break yourself into it.
Yeah.
It's
an amazing sport that you can do for a lot of years into your life. And yeah, you got to wear some goofy attire. But I got over that. Call it phobia of wearing tights and stuff.
Yeah, I don't care. I really don't care.
Exactly. Like, what are you doing? You're sitting in your car drinking Coke.
I'm here raising money for kids. Man.
Yeah.
Like
you gonna fault me?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a couple people. I've blown off some meetings to go ride my bike.
Yeah.
People, you're going to go ride your bike? I'm like, what? You don't care about the kids?
Right.
That's all I'm here for. I want to raise money for the kids, help the kids out, and that's what we're doing. Hopefully we can get some donors here and help us out, and new riders next year too.
New riders. Obviously, when you put this up, wherever you put it up, put your link up there. Because any money that comes in the door, $5. If you get $5 from 100 people, hey, that's fantastic. $10, $15, $20, whatever.
Every dollar counts.
Every dollar counts, and it all goes to a big. We got 22, 23 riders that are all minimally raising $6,000. That's the minimum. And then we've got people that far exceed that. We've got some corporate sponsors, like I said. I think actually Jersey Mike's was today. Jersey Mike's was a give back today. Jersey Mike's also did an amazing thing for us a couple months ago, where they all the Chicagoland stores, like all the money that was raised that day came to Cal's Angels, and then the CEO or former CEO matched it. So it was like $1.7 million from Jersey Mike's. Pretty crazy.
Wow.
You're a huge supporter of us. Culver's is a huge supporter of us.
Number 43 tomorrow at Jersey Mike's.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great place too. Both of those places have super quality food. Can't complain about any of
Chipotle
those.
cheesesteak.
Yeah, so. Great stuff.
Was there anything else you want to add? I'm excited for this ride. I'm very nervous. People can see in the office when I walk in, like, are you nervous for this thing? I'm like, heck yeah, I'm nervous, man. It's going to be taxing. I'm going to hurt.
Yep.
I'm going to hurt for weeks afterwards.
Yep.
But I'm also, I have 5 kids, right? And I worry about things. And if something ever happened to one of them, I would hope some stranger would be willing to help if they needed it.
Correct. Yep. And that's a great way to look at it. Doing something positive with your life, doing something that's meaningful to others, and
positive impact to society.
Yeah, exactly.
Be a giver.
Be a giver. Karma. I'm a firm believer in karma. Give energy to others. Put your family first, depending on what your faith beliefs are. That goes up there very strongly. And then, was it JFK? Do more for others than you do for yourself. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where give and you'll get. And this segment of the population is suffering tremendously. Mm-hmm. You'll get to meet some of the kids that we're riding for, some in the fight, some that have, made it through. So you'll see that. You'll hear stories every day of who we're riding for. I usually present those stories in the morning. Mm-hmm. Or we do like a live FaceTime with them, and they're on my iPad, and you literally get to hear from them. You'll hear from probably a couple kids, their families that didn't make it, so why you're riding while you're on the ride. And when you get done and you kind of reflect on it, it's like I said, there's no reason not to do this ride.
Right.
Most people our age have 4 or 5 weeks vacation. And many people go on a vacation and then they take a couple staycation and they kind of spread their days out. It's a week. Mm-hmm. Technically, it's 4 days. I mean, really.
You still work Monday?
Am I going to work Monday?
No, I'm saying people could still work on Monday.
100%. It's 4 days. You could work on Monday, get down to Chicago on Tuesday, and off we go next year. And typically, we're going to do it at the same time of the year. I think we'll probably keep it in this end of September. Weather is perfect. Knock on wood, perfect for next week. We've had some miserable weather, but we get done with those miserable weather times, you're like, okay, we got to ride in the rain. We have, I have Megan right here that doesn't get to do anything anymore. Right. So,
we're fortunate enough that we get to do this. Yeah.
Yep. We get to. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, if anyone wants to give, we'll put a link out there and help out these kids. I appreciate you coming on and sharing the story.
Yep. And I'm not sure when this is going to get out to the media, but we leave next Tuesday. So you're probably gonna have some sleepless nights thinking about it and being nervous. It's gonna be a blast.
I didn't sleep last night. I got 6 kids, man. I got
I got 5 kids
you
under
life.
7. We have life, right? And no training, and you're gonna go out there and grit it out, and you'll be the better for it. And then once again, your kids will be like, Dad's an animal, man. Dad's out there riding 500 miles. You get to come home and the ending is pretty amazing. Like when we come into St. Charles and we've got Kai, who's you'll meet her. She's in remission now. She had brain cancer. Phenomenal energy girl, and she's going to ride us in. So she'll be on a bike riding us from the GMC dealer, from Amir and Fox Valley GMC. Phenomenal people as well. She's going to ride us in, and like I said, fire trucks and poppers, and like you're going to feel like you're royalty when you get there. And if you drink a beer, you get to have some good Pollyanna spirits.
I typically don't drink. I probably had 3 drinks this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as you.
I might need some carbs at night to just something.
But there's food. We'll have food out there. Yeah. We kind of get up on stage and Stacy does a little talk and I talk and kind of thank everybody. And there's a lot of people there, especially on a Saturday. Yeah. It should be pretty crazy.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me. I'm appreciate the opportunity to get a little bit of information out there on Cal's and the ride itself.
Yeah, let's rock and roll on Tuesday.
Yes,
thank you.
Blessed.